Hello everyone, my name is Lavli Tripathi and I am here to take your lecture on security issues. Before beginning with the subject and before studying about internal security issues in detail, you should know that this forms part of your UPSC mains paper 3, UPSC mains syllabus paper 3. Okay. So before 2013, security issues or internal security issues did not even form part of your syllabus. It was included as part of your main syllabus after 2013. So why was it considered important to include it as part of your syllabus? If you try to understand this, you will have to understand that basically security threats are of two kinds. There are two kinds of security threat that our country faces as of today. First is the external security threat. Okay, external security threat are the threats that we face from another nation. Okay, or an external source. So those are the external security threats जो हमारे sovereignty को या हमारे territory को या जो हम face करते हैं territorial issues या sovereignty issues or any kind of threat that we face, like any kind of threat of attack that we face from another nation, that is the external security threat. And this is the responsibility or the domain of the defense ministry. Okay, now the other kind of threat that we face is the internal security threat, and those are the threats that we face from the domestic issues, that is from the factors which are present within the boundary of India. Those are the internal security threats. And in order to promote good economic and political social development of our nation and to maintain peace and harmony, you must counter both the challenges. That is, you have to address both the kind of security issues, internal and as well as external security issues. Okay. So now that we have an idea of the importance of studying internal security, now we will have a brief idea of the syllabus. That is, what kind of this just one second. What is the kind of or what your syllabus looks like, and what are the kind of security challenges that UPSC syllabus deals with? Okay. So the first topic that we will be taking up as part of your syllabus is the spread of extremism. That is linkages between development and spread of extremism and Naxalism. You must have heard, if not extremism, then you must have heard of the problem of Naxalism, which is prevalent in many states of India, like Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, even in some pockets of Madhya Pradesh and Punjab and all, the problems of Naxalism and extremism is present. So the first topic that we will take up is this. Then the second topic that is included as part of your syllabus is the role of state and non-state actors in creating challenges to internal security. Okay, non-state actors are basically which are not directly funded by the states. Okay, that is not directly funded. State here means government. So non-state actors are the actors which are not directly funded by any government, but they create challenges to your internal security. Okay. Now the third topic, that is one of the most important challenges to internal security, greatest challenges you can say to internal security these days, is the cyber threats or the cyber security challenges. So you must know that these days why it is important is that India is one of the most vulnerable nations when it comes to cyber attacks. Okay, I think it is the third most vulnerable nations, and it is the third most nations which is facing the highest number of cyber attacks these days. So cyber security is one of the issues that we will be taking up as part of your syllabus. And also you must know that after coming up of technologies like artificial intelligence, okay, you must have heard of artificial intelligence, AI, and also like big data analytics and cloud computing. After coming up of these technologies, most of the even the individual information, be it the government information, most of the important information and data these days is getting digitalized. Okay, and whether it is related to any critical infrastructure, whether it is related to your defense, space related information, or education, health related, all these sensitive information is these days stored in the digital form. Okay, every information, sensitive government information also is these days present in government websites. So if any person or if any external source wants to create ruckus in the security of a country, then it can easily attack or hack these government websites and get access to sensitive government information and create kind of problems for the country. This is what is happening, and it is taking the form of these days. You must have heard of a term called as cyber warfare. Okay, so cyber warfare is a term which is getting very famous these days. तो ये इस टाइप के सारे challenges को हम पढ़ेंगे सिक्योर साइबर सिक्योरिटी के अंदर. हमें पता होना चाहिए कि कितना important है इस particular topic को पढ़ना after the kind of vulnerability India faces as far as cyber security threats are concerned. Now the fourth topic over here is the security challenges and management in the border areas. So border area management भी पढ़ना बहुत ज़रूरी है because India shares international border with Pakistan, China, Myanmar, Bangladesh इन सारे countries के साथ हम face कर we share an international border, and there are different kinds of problems that are present in each of these border areas. Like India Pakistan front पे जो border challenges या जो security threats हम face करते हैं, they are very different from the security threats that we face with we face on the India Bangladesh border. Then India Myanmar border पे अलग टाइप के challenges हैं, India China border पे अलग टाइप के challenges हैं. तो ये सारे पढ़ना हमें ज़रूरी है. लाइक हमने रिसेंटली अभी पढ़ा कि इंडिया चाइना बॉर्डर पे वी आर फेसिंग अपनी गलवान वैली में we are facing different kinds of armed intrusions into our territory. तो different types of threats हैं. बांग्लादेश बॉर्डर पे ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग और इलीगल ड्रग्स ट्रैफिकिंग एंड नार्कोटिक्स ट्रैफिकिंग बहुत होता है. एंड वेयर एज इंडिया इफ यू कंसिडर अबाउट द इंडिया पाकिस्तान बॉर्डर, तो हमें पता है वहाँ पे इलीगल टेररिस्ट का इन्फिल्ट्रेशन वगैरह कितना ज़्यादा है. तो हर एक बॉर्डर में डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ चैलेंजेस हैं, एंड टू मैनेज ऑल दीज बॉर्डर्स इज द डोमेन ऑफ इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी ऑफ इंडिया. ओके, सो then various security forces and agencies and their mandate. Like अगर इतने सारे security challenges हैं, तो हमें central government को या state government को security forces को deploy करना पड़ेगा in order to handle these challenges. तो उन सारे security forces और and agencies के बारे में भी हम डिटेल में पढ़ेंगे in our lectures. So this is the brief idea of the kind of your syllabus looks like, and you must know that internal security threat and to manage the internal security is the domain of Ministry of Home Affairs. External security is taken care of by Ministry of Defense, and internal security is the domain of Ministry of Home Affairs. Okay, so now that you have a brief idea of the syllabus, now we will have a quick look into the kind of sources that you have to refer to prepare security issues for UPSC. So first is to start with, there is a book in the market which is named as Challenges to Internal Security by TMH Publication. You must read this book, it's one of the basic sources to begin with. Then newspaper reading is very important because each one of these topics is, see, they may look like they are static topics, but actually they are not. ठीक है, these are evolving topics. Like अभी recently announce हुआ था कि हम एक दूसरी cyber security policy national level पे लेकर आने वाले हैं to counter the ever increasing cyber security threats they are facing. Every day we are facing new kind of cyber security threats. तो हम एक न्यू साइबर सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसी लेकर आने वाले नेशनल लेवल पे. तो ये कैसे पता चलेगा आपको? जब आप न्यूज़पेपर्स पढ़ेंगे, उस पर्टिकुलर पॉलिसी जब भी वो आएगी उसके आपको प्रोविजंस को फॉलो करना पड़ेगा. सो यू हैव टू कीप योरसेल्फ अपडेटेड regarding any one of these topics that you see in news. Okay, अगर बॉर्डर एरिया में अभी नए टाइप के हमारे टेंशन चल रहे हैं चाइना के साथ, तो वो सारे चीज़ों में अपडेट की गवर्नमेंट क्या कर रही है, कौन सी नई बॉर्डर पॉलिसी लेकर आ रही है, उस चीज़ों में आपको अपडेट रहना बहुत ज़रूरी है. ओनली देन यू विल बी एबल टू आंसर any questions which is asked from your security issues in the paper. Then apart from that, these are the 2 ARC reports which are very important for you to cover, and these are very good sources for your value addition. ठीक है, एक तो होता है हमारे बेसिक सोर्सेज, एक होते हैं वैल्यू एडिशन के लिए सोर्सेज जो इनमें बहुत ही एनरिच्ड कंटेंट होता है. So these 2 reports are very important that you must refer if you are preparing security issues. Capacity building and conflict resolution, and the second is the 8th report of second ARC, which is the dealing with the topic of terrorism. So capacity building and conflict resolution is basically will cover your topics like Northeast insurgency and Jammu and Kashmir militancy and the problems of Naxalism and extremism. ये वाला जो topic है, ये यहाँ से आप capacity building and conflict resolution वाली report से value addition कर सकते हैं. So now that we have a brief idea of your syllabus and the basic sources that you must cover, हाँ apart from that ITSA and ORF के publications भी हैं जो आप time and again आप इनको refer कर सकते हो if you want to do some research on a particular topic that you are not able to understand. Okay, so ये सारी चीजें हैं. Now you know the syllabus, you know कि हमें basic source list क्या follow करनी है. So now we will begin with our topic. So here I have listed some questions. Okay, these are past year questions that have been asked from the various topics of security issues. So after that we are done with one lecture or one topic. We will be coming to these slides and we will be discussing the nature of questions which are asked. Because to prepare a topic holistically, आपको पता होना चाहिए कि उस topic से questions किस type के आए हैं, and you must have this brief understanding and this very basic thing that the nature of questions which are asked from security issues are not straightforward. They are current oriented. आपको current का बहुत अच्छा knowledge होना चाहिए basic के साथ साथ, and that they will require, any question will require you to have the knowledge of all the related aspects. मतलब किसी एक domain का knowledge लेकर you cannot answer a question. ठीक है, तो एक in depth आपको study करनी पड़ेगी. current oriented questions होते हैं and straightforward questions नहीं होते हैं. थोड़ा आपको उनके लिए एक analysis करना बहुत ज़रूरी है and related aspects का knowledge होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. This is one brief idea about the nature of questions which are asked. Every time we finish a lecture about a particular topic, we will be coming back to this slide and discussing the related question which has been asked. So moving forward, now we will begin with our first topic, which is linkages between development and extremism. Okay, ये वाला topic हम लेंगे. So basically, before beginning with extremism, like linkages between development and extremism, you must know that what is extremism. You must have heard of the problems of Naxalism and all, okay, which is prevalent in many states of the country. But आपको ये पता होना चाहिए कि extremism क्या होता है. ठीक है, तो और फिर आपको जब extremism और Naxalism का problem पता होगा, तब आप link कर पाओगे that how is that lack of development and lack of governance, and due to the lack of governance, due to the lack of development, and due to problems like poverty and unemployment, how these kind of factors are affecting to for the proliferation of the problems of extremism and Naxalism. Basically ये core एक understanding है इस topic की कि extremism का problem तो समझना ही समझना है, साथ में हमें ये भी समझना है कि what is that lacking on the part of government, that the fruits of development are not reaching this section of the society which is getting affected from the problems of Naxalism. जहाँ पे भी जिन भी states में problem of Naxalism या extremism है, वो क्यों है? Because the fruits of development have not reached that section of the society, and वहाँ पे अभी भी poverty and unemployment का problem बहुत ज़्यादा acute है and landlessness है बहुत ज़्यादा, and इसलिए जो grievances हैं वहाँ के लोगों के, these have been misused and exploited by the Naxals and by these extremist groups to carry out their propaganda. Basically ये एक पूरा issue है, ठीक है, जिसको हमें समझना है. So to start with, first of all you have to will take up the topic of extremism, that what is extremism. So extremism, जैसे कि आपको इसके word से ही पता चल रहा है कि extremism is something which is very much radical and which is very much extreme, and it is something which is outside the mainstream attitudes of a society. Okay, and it is something which is having it is outside the mainstream of attitudes of society, also mainstream of common moral standards, and it is very extreme and a radical view for something that is called as the extremism. This is the main you can say ideology of extremism. Okay, now what is left wing extremism? Left wing extremism क्या होता है? तो अगर left wing extremism समझना है, so you have to understand the basic difference between left wing and right wing ideologies. Now what is left wing ideologies? Left wing जो ideologies होती हैं, they are based on far left radical thoughts. Far left radical thoughts पे based होते हैं, जो आपके होते हैं extra, ये क्या होते हैं, left wing extremism. Now, what is far left radical thought? So basically, what the extremists believe and what is their ideology is that is they think that the current government or the system of government which is there is very exploitative and okay, and they believe that this kind of exploitative system which is not taking care of the marginalized section of the society, which is the either the peasant class or the tribal class or the dispossessed, okay, those people who have been dispossessed from their land and their resources. So there's an exploitative government which is present at the which is controlling the system right now, and this exploitative government must be overthrown by violent revolutionary means. By violent revolutionary means, you have to overthrow the system of government which is present, which is not taking care of the marginalized and the poor sections of the society, be it the farmers or the peasants or the tribals or the worker class. Okay, so this is which is what is called as the left wing ideology. Now, what is right wing? Right wing ideologies basically they promote a status quo. Status quo, that is they don't want any change in the kind of system which is present. Those are called the right wing ideologies. Okay, उनको कोई चेंज नहीं चाहिए होता है. इनफैक्ट उनका बहुत एक्सपेंशनिस्ट अप्रोच होता है कि जो प्रेजेंट गवर्नमेंट है उसको ही सपोर्ट करो. एंड इनफैक्ट वो उनका एक बिल्कुल डिफरेंट अप्रोच होता है लेफ्ट विंग से. तो लेफ्ट विंग अलग है एंड राइट विंग आइडियोलॉजीज अलग है. Okay, this is what we mean by left-wing extremism. Okay, extremism means what extreme view of a something which is outside the mainstream attitude of the society, and left-wing extremism is based on the left-wing ideology, which is far left radical thoughts. Now, left-wing extremism क्या होता है? It derive its thought from communism. ठीक है. Also, you must know that it because communism का भी same ideology है, and it emphasizes advancements of people's social and economic life by establishing classless society through armed revolutions. As we had discussed, that overthrow the present exploitative government or system of government which is there through violent revolutionary means, if it is the kind of system which is exploiting the marginalized and the poor sections of the society. And basically ये जो far left radical thoughts होते हैं, they are revolving around the agrarian issues. ये ज़्यादातर agrarian issues के around ही revolve करते हैं. ठीक है. Now, once we know what is left-wing extremism, we have to understand the rise of left-wing extremism in India. जैसे कि इंडिया में इसका beginning कैसे हुआ? तो इंडिया में बेसिकली क्या हुआ कि राइट आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस ही हमें इसके अर्ली साइंस दिखने शुरू हो गए थे. इवन बिफोर इंडिपेंडेंस, बिकॉज कम्युनिज्म का जो एक फिलॉसफी है वो तो वर्ल्ड में इवन बिफोर हमारे इंडिपेंडेंस के पहले ही बहुत ज़्यादा स्प्रेड हो चुका था. सो दिस लेफ्ट विंग एक्सट्रीमिज्म इज ऑल्सो इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय द आइडिया ऑफ कम्युनिज्म. कम्युनिज्म की फिलॉसफी से भी बहुत ज़्यादा इन्फ्लुएंस्ड है लेफ्ट विंग एक्सट्रीमिज्म. So even before independence, the seeds of left-wing extremism were sowed in India. But उसके first signs हमें कहाँ पे दिखे? Basically हैदराबाद and पटियाला में, जहाँ पे क्या हुआ, जो कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी ऑफ इंडिया है, that had actually swept into action when it protected the the peasants of this Hyderabad and Patiala के princely states के from facing the brutal oppression in the hands of Jagirdars and Biswadars. So it had protected this peasant class of Hyderabad and Patiala from the oppression in the hands of Jagirdars and Biswadars. So that is, they came into the protection. They came into the rescue of these workers and these peasants from the hands of the you can say the influential section society at that time. So this is how that was the first sign of left-wing extremism in India. Then afterwards क्या हुआ, धीरे धीरे इसका expansion हुआ. That is formal way में, first of all the Communist Party of India जो है that was formed in the year 1925, and obviously it was inspired by October Revolution of Russia, which was part of the Russian Revolution, and left-wing ideology of communism से inspired था, and that is why its name was called as Communist Party of India. And हमने इसका first sign देखा कि किस तरीके से first time हैदराबाद and पटियाला provinces में किस तरीके से इसने अपना first sign हमें दिखाया. Then after that this was formed in 1964. Then again there was a split that happened in Communist Party of India, and Communist Party of India Marxist was emerged from a split from the CPI. And whereas the original जो था वो तो normal democratic था, but जो CPI M form हुआ, CPI Marxist, it is the far more radical one which is supporting hardcore Marxism. and it is the one which believed in the armed revolutions to overthrow the state. तो CPI Marxist का formation हुआ from CPI in the year 1964. Now we will study about the Naxalbari Uprising. Now till here we know that is CPI का formation हुआ, then CPI-M का formation हुआ. Now we will study about the Naxalbari Uprising, because in India left-wing extremism is coined or termed as Naxalism. So कैसे इसका नाम Naxalism पड़ा, ये अगर हमें समझना है तो हमें समझना पड़ेगा कि जो नक्सल इंसर्जेंसी है उसका ओरिजिन कैसे हुआ इंडिया में. Basically this happened in the year 1967, and it happened in the village of Naxalbari of West Bengal, and that is why Naxalism is called as Naxalism. Why? Because it derived its name from Naxalbari village of West Bengal. So basically हुआ क्या था, ये पूरा स्टोरी क्या था कि there was an armed peasant revolt which took place in this small village of Naxalbari in West Bengal, and it was actually led by the Communist Party of India Marxist. And this armed peasant revolt, which was led by the Communist Party of India Marxist, its active leader was Charu Majumdar. Okay, Charu Majumdar was its active leader. हुआ क्या था, एक normal peasant का uprising था. There were clashes and conflicts which were going on in that village between the peasants and the zamindar class. And उसी एक conflict या के period में there was a incident that happened that एक local tribal youth था who was attacked by the goons of local landlords. Okay, so ये जो एक normal एक conflict या clash था वो क्या हुआ, escalate हो गया after this incident when there was a local tribal youth which was attacked by the goons of local landlord. तो ये जो एक normal clash था वो escalate हो गया, and this was escalated by this Communist Party of India, and उन्होंने इस पूरा uprising को lead करा, and at the end of the day that zamindar was expelled from his land. उसके response में क्या हुआ, there were other revolutionary leaders who fled the area and they declared an armed struggle against the state of India. इस पूरे ही जो एक normal एक village का uprising था, it was escalated, and it was at the end of this escalation, all the other revolutionary leaders also, they fled the area and they declared an armed struggle against the state of India. After this incident, that is Naxalbari Uprising, a new party was formed which was called as CPI-ML or CPI Marxist-Leninist in 1969, and this was motivated and influenced deeply by the Communist Party of China. Basically अब आप देखो कि ग्रो हो रहा है ये मूवमेंट. ओके, ठीक है. नक्सलबारी अपराइजिंग क्यों कहते हैं नक्सलबारी अपराइजिंग, नक्सलिज्म इसका नाम क्यों पड़ा, बिकॉज एक नॉर्मल आर्म्ड पेजेंट रिवोल्ट हुआ नक्सलबारी विलेज में which was led by the Communist Party of India Marxist, and its leader was Charu Majumdar. एक नॉर्मल सा पेजेंट एंड जमींदार का कॉन्फ्लिक्ट एस्केलेट हो गया बहुत ज़्यादा आफ्टर अ स्मॉल इंसिडेंट स्पार्क्ड इट, and then as a result of which ये पूरा other revolutionary leaders also joined this particular uprising, and they declared an armed struggle against the state of India. And as after this incident, a new party is formed which is called the CPI-ML Marxist-Leninist in 1969, and it was influenced by Communist Party of China. In fact, ये पूरे struggle के time पे चारू मजुमदार, who we have discussed, leader of this particular uprising, he wrote historic 8 documents, and he had shared these documents with Mao Zedong, because basically ये पूरा जो नक्सलबारी अपराइजिंग है या ये जो पूरा आइडिया है of this uprising and all this armed struggle which this Communist Party of India is carrying out against the state, it is influenced by Mao Zedong, who is a Chinese revolutionary leader, and China also supported this movement which happened in India, and it termed it as the Spring Thunder of India. इस तरीके से चाइना और हमारे बीच में कोऑर्डिनेशन चल रहा था थ्रू चारू मजुमदार, because this whole ideology and this whole armed peasant revolt was influenced by the Chinese revolutionary leader who is called as Mao Zedong. So now that we know इस इंसिडेंट के बाद क्या हुआ, that lot of Bengali youth also got attracted to this ideology, and there was lot of popular support which was gathered for this leader Charu Majumdar. And उसके बाद धीरे धीरे करके this particular ideology or this particular movement, it had spread to other regions of the country also. It got spread to other regions of the country also, and there were many university students and also other students who joined this organization, and they formed part of its different front organizations. Okay, तो इस तरीके से इस मूवमेंट का धीरे धीरे करके एक्सपेंशन हुआ एंड इट गॉट स्प्रेड टू अदर पार्ट्स ऑफ द कंट्री ऑल्सो when lot of youth also got attracted to this ideology and they became part of this organization. Now we have to study about the second stage of spread of Naxalism. First stage हमने पढ़ा कि कैसे पहले लेफ्ट विंग एक्सट्रीमिज्म के फर्स्ट साइंस क्या हुए, देन कैसे सीपीआई का फॉर्मेशन हुआ, सीपीआई के फॉर्मेशन के बाद कैसे सीपीआई एम का फॉर्मेशन हुआ, and then how CPI ML was formed after the Naxalbari Uprising. Okay, उसी के बाद से, इस इंसिडेंट के बाद से ही अब लेफ्ट विंग एक्सट्रीमिज्म को इंडिया में हम नक्सलिज्म के नाम से जानते हैं आफ्टर द नक्सलबारी अपराइजिंग. Then what was the second stage of Naxalism? As we understand that after this Naxalbari uprising, a lot of other youth and lot of other students got attracted to this ideology and they joined the organization and they started using this propaganda. The movement started spreading to later regions of the country. So second stage में हम वही देखते हैं कि कैसे इस movement का हमने एक response देखा आंध्र प्रदेश में भी. That is one section or one faction of this Naxal organization spread to Andhra Pradesh also, and they named their organization as People's War Group. In Andhra Pradesh, this was called as the People's War Group. Okay, and यहाँ पे भी वही same चीज हुई that this People's War Group fought for the cause of peasants and the landless through a series of violent attacks, assassinations, and the bombing of Andhra Pradesh's landlords. That is, जो भी एक upper section of society है उनके against attack हुए, ठीक है, अपर कास्ट लीडर्स एंड पॉलिटिशियंस के अगेंस्ट अटैक हुए. सो सेम यू सी सेम प्रोपेगेंडा, सेम स्ट्रैटेजी, सेम दिस थिंग इज कैरिड आउट बाय द पीपल्स वॉर ग्रुप इन आंध्र प्रदेश. सो दिस वाज द सेकंड स्टेज ऑफ नक्सलिज्म where it spread in the state of Andhra Pradesh and took the form of People's War Group. Similarly, then it spread into Bihar also, and Bihar Naxalites were the one who formed themselves as Maoist Communist Center, that is MCC. So बिहार नक्सलाइट्स ने अपना नाम रखा है माओइस्ट कम्युनिस्ट सेंटर, एंड आंध्र प्रदेश में द नक्सल्स दे रीऑर्गेनाइज देमसेल्व्स इन द फॉर्म ऑफ पीपल्स वॉर ग्रुप. सो दिस वाज द सेकंड स्टेज ऑफ एक्सपेंशन जहाँ पे हम देख रहे हैं कि इट इज स्प्रेडिंग टू अदर रीजन्स ऑफ द कंट्री ऑल्सो. इट हैड गॉट स्प्रेड टू अदर नेबरिंग स्टेट्स ऑल्सो लाइक वेस्ट बंगाल, मध्य प्रदेश, झारखंड, छत्तीसगढ़ वगैरह में भी हुआ. बट बेसिकली ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस या पार्टी इन्हीं दो स्टेट्स में फॉर्म हुई, इन आंध्र प्रदेश एज पीपल्स वॉर ग्रुप and in Bihar as Maoist Communist Center. So this was the second stage for the spread of Naxalism. Now moving forward, we have to proceed towards the third stage. Basically third stage of spread of Naxalism में 2004 में कुछ नहीं होता है, एक basically all these different factions, okay, CPI, ML, PWG of Andhra Pradesh, Maoist Communist Center of Bihar, all these different factions, they got united and they got merged as one umbrella organization which was called as the Communist Party of India, Maoist. And after 2004 their expansion stopped. Now it is just known as one umbrella organization or just one party called as CPI Maoist, and now they are all collectively referred to as Maoist. मतलब अब different factions नहीं है, all the factions got merged as one umbrella organization and which actually strengthened them. Okay, because अब ऐसा नहीं है कि बहुत divisions हैं या बहुत सारी parties हैं, अब एक single party है. all the insurgents they just so merge themselves under just one party, just one umbrella organization, which was ultimately named as Communist Party of India, Maoist. Okay, now since then what is there? Now this is just one party, and now they have managed to create full-fledged administrative and military infrastructures in the states of Chhattisgarh, Orissa, Jharkhand. इन सारे states में उन्होंने अपना एक full-fledged setup कर लिया है, ठीक है. And their ideological foundation as a whole is now Marxism, Leninism and Maoism. And what is their political objective? It is to throw the which they consider as colonial and semi-feudal and exploitative government which is oppressing the masses of India. And how do they plan to do it? How do they plan to overthrow this kind of an exploitative government? Through violent armed agrarian revolution. Okay, through violent armed agrarian revolution, which they call as People's War. People's War. Okay, so this is what their party is, this is what their ideology is, and this is what their strategy is. Okay, that through the armed agrarian revolutions they will throw and overthrow the oppressed, you can say the exploitative government which is oppressing the masses of the country. So this is the third and the final stage of the expansion of Communist Party of India, and this is how नक्सलिज्म का या आप कह सकते हो इंडिया में कम्युनिज्म का पूरा स्प्रेड यहाँ से होता है, बिकॉज नक्सलिज्म इज इंस्पायर्ड और इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय द कम्युनिस्ट आइडियोलॉजी. तो इनका पूरा जो एक एस्टैब्लिशमेंट हुआ या जिस तरीके से उन्होंने इंस्टीट्यूशनलाइज किया अपने आप को, दैट गॉट फाइनलाइज्ड इन द थर्ड स्टेज इन द ईयर 2004. आफ्टरवर्ड्स अब बस उनके अटैक्स या उनके जो डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ वो वायलेंट अटैक्स कैरी आउट कर रहे हैं, अब वो चल रहा है सारा. ठीक है. So after that you studied little bit about how this originated, what is their ideology, how they expanded, and so now the final thing that we must also know is the current status. The current status क्या है left wing extremism का इंडिया में. So currently what they are doing is how they are manifesting themselves. They have formed red corridor. The Naxals or the extremists, they have actually created this red corridor. What is red corridor? It is just an area. You can see there are deep pockets in different states. Okay, they have created their own area and they have created their own corridor in different pockets of these states. Okay, which states? Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, Telangana, UP, West Bengal, and also extending till some northern fringes of Tamil Nadu. These Naxals, they have created some, you can say, a corridor for themselves. That is, they have this red corridor is an area which is Naxal affected area, and not all the regions of these states, but some pockets of these states they have occupied, and they have expanded their bases over here, and they are carrying out whatever violent attacks and whatever kind of violence against the government and the security personnel they are carrying out, and they have established their corridor and their administrative setup in these some pockets of different states. Okay, and in April 2018 what happened, the counters of red corridor have been redrawn. That is, जब इसको redrawn किया गया तो पता चला कि this area has actually shrunk. Actually the affected area has shrunk. That means the violence overall has reduced. And the corridor or the extent of the area which is affected by Naxalism or Naxal infested violence has been reduced. अब at present status क्या है कि 90 districts in 11 states are affected by left wing extremism, जिसमें से 30 are worst affected. So now that we have studied your what was Naxalism, what is extremism, what is their ideology, how they expanded, what is their history, what is the current status. So current status में हमने पढ़ा कि red corridor क्या है. Red corridor is an area that they have formed in these different states of Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, and Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, etc. That is, there some pockets which are affected by left wing extremism or Naxal infested regions है ये, और इन सारे ही regions में इन्होंने वायलेंस करा हुआ है, अपना एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव सेटअप करा हुआ है, और इस तरीके से इन्होंने एक पूरा कॉरिडोर बनाया हुआ है. ठीक है, हमने यहाँ प्रेजेंट स्टेटस देखा कि अगर प्रेजेंटली देखें कि हाउ मेनी डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स आर अफेक्टेड बाय लेफ्ट विंग एक्सट्रीमिज्म या लेफ्ट विंग वायलेंस, तो ये नंबर ऑफ डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स अफेक्टेड हैं इन द 11 स्टेट्स ऑफ आवर कंट्री, जिसमें से 30 हैं वर्स्ट अफेक्टेड. ओके, सो नाउ वी हैव गॉन थ्रू ऑल दिस. नाउ वी हैव अ बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि अभी तक करंट स्टेटस क्या है. नाउ वी मूव फॉरवर्ड and we look into the kind of violence that is carried out by these Naxals. Okay, so basically इनका violence that had reached its peak in 2010, but currently अगर हम देखा जाए तो violence which is carried out by these Naxals has declined by 25% during the 2014 and 17 के period में. There has been a decline, and that is why हमने देखा था कि 2018 में जब रेड कॉरिडोर का जो एरिया है इनका जो ये ऑक्यूपाई कर रखा है, जब इसको विड्रॉ किया गया, so we also found that area has also decreased. That is, the Naxal affected area has also decreased, and also the violence carried out by the Naxalism has decreased. But April 2018 में एक assault हुआ था CRPF रोड ओपनिंग पार्टी में, जिसमें कि 25 सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस पे इन्होंने अटैक किया था. It was the deadliest violence that has been carried out by these Naxals since April 2010 attack in Dantewada, जिसमें 76 security personnel were killed. Okay, now what is the latest attack that they have carried out, and through which we know that the Naxal movement is not over. It's not that if the violence has gone down, or if it's not that if the red corridor has reduced, that this problem is over. This problem is still present, and it is posing, a greatest threat to country's internal security. How do we know? There was an ID blast that had claimed the lives of 15 security personnel in Maharashtra in even the year 2019. That is, it's just a recent incident when in last year also Maharashtra में एक ID blast carry out किया था Naxals ने, and which is showing that the Naxal problem is still not over, and it is continuing to pose a very great challenge to India's internal security. And which region is the worst affected? अगर आप एक कोई region बोलेंगे जो इनका न्यूक्लियस है एक्टिविटीज का, तो दिस इज द दंडाकारण्य रीजन ऑफ साउथ छत्तीसगढ़. तो ये एक प्रेजेंट स्टेटस है जिसमें आपको पता होना चाहिए कि अभी वायलेंस रिड्यूस हो गया है. 2014 से 17 पीरियड में काफी ज्यादा रिडक्शन हमें देखने को मिला वायलेंस में, बट ऐसा नहीं है कि द प्रॉब्लम इज ओवर. द प्रॉब्लम इज स्टिल देयर. हाउ डू वी नो? बिकॉज in 2019 only there was a recent attack which had claimed the lives of 15 security personnel, and which shows that the problem of Naxalism still poses a threat to India's internal security. Now you also know there's a new term that is gaining prominence is urban Naxalism. That is, पहले हमें क्या था, हमने पढ़ा कि सिर्फ ये अग्रेरियन स्ट्रगल्स के अराउंड रिवॉल्व करते हैं, पेजेंट स्ट्रगल्स के अराउंड रिवॉल्व करते हैं ज़्यादातर. बट अब हम देख रहे हैं कि देयर इज अ न्यू टर्म व्हिच इज गेनिंग प्रॉब्लम्स, अर्बन नक्सलिज्म. दैट इज दे आर आल्सो स्प्रेडिंग देयर टेंटिकल्स इन द अर्बन एरियाज. Okay, so now they are focusing on urban centers also. They are organizing their leadership and masses, and they are building a united front in engage in military tasks even in the urban areas. Okay, now both the Maoist rebels and security forces, they are engaging in a cycle of violence, okay, wherever they are affecting the regions. But it is the ordinary citizens who is suffering the loss of livelihoods and livelihoods. Okay, and they are living in the fear of in the atmosphere of fear and intimidation, because obviously in the end it is the citizens who are getting affected. Okay, माओइस्ट तो अपना काम कर रहे हैं वायलेंस अटैक करके, ठीक है, एंड सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस अपना काम कर रहे हैं जहाँ पे वो डिप्लॉयड है, बट बेसिकली अफेक्ट कौन हो रहा है? इन द एंड इट इज द सिटीजन हु इज गेटिंग अफेक्टेड. तो बेसिकली हमने पढ़ा कि इनका क्या स्ट्रैटेजी है, कि ये किस तरीके से अटैक करते हैं गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर. बेसिकली इनका ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है? ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है? दैट इज व्हाट इज दैट दे वांट फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट. व्हाट इज दैट दे वांट फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट दैट वी शुड डू. कि व्हाट इज कि ये सब कर क्यों रहे हैं? अगर हम ठीक है वो वायलेंस कर रहे हैं, ऐसे कर रहे हैं, बट व्हाट इज देयर नेचर? what is that they want from the government? What is that they want from the system? Is that what we will understand in the later slides. So what is actually the nature of the movement of the Naxalism and extremism, and what is the method of warfare that is they are using? What is the kind of strategy that they are using to fight the government or fight the citizens? So basically अभी तक हमने क्या देखा था कि लेफ्ट विंग जो एक्सट्रीमिस्ट मूवमेंट है, it has largely been agrarian. And why? Because it is basically mobilizing the discontent and misgovernance in the rural areas to achieve its objective. ठीक है, जहाँ पे भी नक्सल अफेक्टेड रीजन है वहाँ पे ऐसा नहीं है कि दे आर नॉट गेनिंग द सपोर्ट ऑफ द लोकल ट्राइबल पॉपुलेशन विच इज लिविंग देयर. इट इज एक्चुअली यूजिंग और मिसयूजिंग द ग्रीवेंसेस ऑफ दोज पीपल ओनली. ओके, क्योंकि वहाँ पे फ्रूट्स ऑफ डेवलपमेंट जो गवर्नमेंट के हैं, गवर्नमेंट के पार्ट पे ये कहीं ना कहीं एक लैक हुआ है कि फ्रूट्स ऑफ डेवलपमेंट हैव नॉट रीच दोज एरियाज. कैसे फ्रूट्स ऑफ डेवलपमेंट नहीं पहुंचे? बिकॉज बेसिकली हम क्या कर रहे हैं, वहाँ पे ट्राइबल लैंड को हम गवर्नमेंट क्या करती है कि व्हेनेवर एनी प्राइवेट और गवर्नमेंट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट बनना होता है या कोई इंडस्ट्रियल एस्टैब्लिशमेंट होना होता है, तो वी जस्ट गो एंड एनक्रोच अपॉन देयर लैंड एंड रिसोर्सेज एंड वी ऑक्यूपाई दोज एरियाज, बट हम उन्हें कोई कॉम्पनसेशन नहीं देते हैं. We are not including the tribals and these dispossessed people of the tribal affected areas, and we are not making, government is not making an effort to include them in the mainstream of the society, and government somehow has failed on its part to distribute the fruits of development in those areas. जो public policy की या जो public service delivery है वो उन तक नहीं पहुंच पाई है, and there is lot of problem of landlessness. Those tribals who have been displaced from their land when any infrastructure or when any government project was carried out in those area, उनको compensate नहीं किया. धीरे धीरे करके उनके forest rights भी आप अटैक कर रहे हो, उनके resources encroach कर रहे हो, उनकी land उनसे छीन रहे हो. तो क्या करके वहाँ पे हो रहा है कि ये सारे जो poor sections है इनको they are facing lot of problem of unemployment, poverty, इसकी वजह से ये सारे जो इश्यूज वहाँ पे हैं या जो ग्रीवेंसेस वहाँ पे ऑलरेडी प्रेजेंट है, इनका ये नक्सल्स मिसयूज कर रहे हैं. They are feeding upon these grievances which are present in those Naxal affected areas, and what they are doing on their part is they are saying that you support us against the government. They are creating a feeling of alienation amongst these population against the government, and they are saying that you support the government. Your government is not there for this government is not there for your welfare. You support our cause, and you provide us information, you support our cause, and in return we will establish an alternative system of governance, and we will run a parallel administration, parallel government over here, and we will provide you the right of Jal Jameen and Jeevan, that is right of water, livelihood, and right of land. Okay, so they are promising such things to these marginalized and poor sections of the society, because government has failed on its part to do so, and that is why even in some areas tribals and some of the peasants are even supporting the Naxal's cause. Okay, so this is what their strategy is, and this is how they are feeding upon. इसीलिए अगर आप देखेंगे तो मोस्टली ये दिस इज नॉट अ कोइंसिडेंस कि ट्राइबल एरियाज जो हैं छत्तीसगढ़ का या झारखंड का या मध्य प्रदेश या उड़ीसा के जो ट्राइबल डोमिनेटेड एरियाज हैं, only those areas are acting as a feeding ground for Naxalism. Why? Because वहाँ पे grievances भी उतने हैं, वहाँ पे poverty भी उतनी है, वहाँ पे कहीं ना कहीं गवर्नेंस का डेफिसिट भी उतना है, वहाँ पे कहीं ना कहीं वेलफेयर गवर्नमेंट के पॉलिसीज, गवर्नमेंट के जो स्कीम्स हैं डेवलपमेंट के, पॉवर्टी रिमूवल के, वो वहाँ तक उनका वो नहीं पहुंच पाए. इसीलिए कहीं ना कहीं ये नक्सल्स उस चीज का मिसयूज कर रहे हैं, एंड दे आर टर्निंग द पीपल ऑफ दोज एरिया अगेंस्ट द गवर्नमेंट. ओके, एंड बिकॉज वो एक फीलिंग ऑफ एलिनेशन वहाँ के लोगों में, वहाँ के ट्राइबल्स में है अगेंस्ट द गवर्नमेंट, because of certain legislations which government ने carry out करा है कहीं ना कहीं, and government has also neglected some of the issues in those areas. Okay, so this is the whole problem, और इसलिए कहीं ना कहीं they are trying to establish a parallel system of governance in those areas. अभी हम कहते हैं रेड कॉरिडोर. सो रेड कॉरिडोर के कई सारे एरियाज में even these Naxals have established a parallel system of administration, and they are turning the people against the government. Okay, so now we will study this was a brief idea of the kind of the nature of this movement, and what their objectives and what is that they want from the government and the people. Naxals का क्या cause है, क्या propaganda है, और वो क्या चाहते हैं लोगों से, तो ये है. Now what they have done is they have gained people's confidence. ठीक है, they have grown in strength, particularly in the forest and the tribal areas, by mobilizing the dispossessed and the marginalized sections. Okay, and what do they do? What is their actually propaganda? What their strategy is? That they create conditions for non-functioning of the government. Okay, non-functioning of the government, that is they will disrupt the government activities. Disruption करेंगे government के developmental functions में. They will seek disruption of government activities as a means to अचीव इट्स ऑब्जेक्टिव. ठीक है, जैसे गवर्नमेंट के कोई भी डेवलपमेंटल प्रोजेक्ट्स या कनेक्टिविटी प्रोजेक्ट्स वहाँ पे गवर्नमेंट कैरी आउट करने की कोशिश करेगा, मोबाइल कनेक्टिविटी या रोड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलप करने की कोशिश करेगा. सो दे विल क्रिएट डिसरप्शन इन दैट पर्टिकुलर प्रोसेस, ताकि गवर्नमेंट वो चीज़ वहाँ पे ना कर पाए. दिस इज वन ऑफ देयर एजेंडा. देन व्हाट दे डू, they indulge in these Naxals and extremists, they indulge in murders and abductions and extortions. Okay, then they carry out the guerrilla warfare. What is guerrilla warfare? Actually on the lower levels of the government में के जो officers या जो security personnel होते हैं, उन पे ये guerrilla warfare करते हैं. This is their main step, or this is their main warfare what they carry out. What is guerrilla? It is a kind of a strong surprise attack. Okay, जो आप ये करते हैं Naxals on the transportation routes, individual groups of police or military जो वहाँ पे डिप्लॉयड होती है in order to tackle the Naxal problem, उनके ऊपर they carry out the guerrilla warfare. Okay, and basically also the civilians के ऊपर भी ये carry out करते हैं guerrilla warfare, and they are doing this in order to minimize their casualties, because strong surprise attacks होते हैं and अपनी identity को छुपा कर ये attacks करते हैं, ताकि इनके जो casualties हो वो minimum हो और enemy की casualties ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा है. And also what they are doing is they are forcing the local people of those areas to join their movement. Okay, and what they are doing next, they are also carrying out high profile murders and kidnappings. Okay, ठीक है, तो इस ये सारे means का use करके they are carrying out their agenda. ओके एंड ट्राइबल्स को बेसिकली क्या प्रॉब्लम है वहाँ के, व्हाट इज द ट्राइबल्स को क्या प्रॉब्लम है? ट्राइबल्स बेसिकली बहुत ज़्यादा अफेक्टेड है उस एरिया के, बिकॉज जितने भी ये प्राइवेट बिजनेसेस होते हैं या गवर्नमेंट के प्रोजेक्ट्स होते हैं, दे आर एक्चुअली कैरिंग आउट लॉट ऑफ इलीगल माइनिंग, डिफॉरेस्टेशन, एंड दे आर एनक्रोचिंग द ट्राइबल लैंड्स for establishing their businesses or establishing an industry, and that is why somehow these tribals are dispossessed of their resources illegal mining के थ्रू भी, डिफॉरेस्टेशन करके उनके फॉरेस्ट रिसोर्सेज का भी आप कहीं ना कहीं उनको नुकसान पहुंचा रहे हो, उनकी लैंड को इलीगली आप इंक्रोच कर रहे हो, एंड देन यू आर नॉट इवन कंपेंसेटिंग देम। तो इस तरीके का करके यू आर एक्चुअली creating an alienation in their minds, and that is why they are getting influenced by the ideology of Naxalism. Okay, बट अल्टीमेटली जो मेन सफरर्स होते हैं वायलेंस के, लेफ्ट विंग एक्सट्रीमिज्म के, वो भी ट्राइबल पॉपुलेशन या पुअर सेक्शंस ही होते हैं, बिकॉज अल्टीमेटली दे आर गेटिंग मिसयूज्ड बाय द नक्सल्स। ओके, देन अब ये क्या करते हैं, दूसरी चीज जो क्या करते हैं नक्सल्स, दे आर ऑल्सो नॉट लेटिंग द डेमोक्रेटिक वे ऑफ लाइफ भी वहाँ पे नहीं सेटअप होने देते हैं नक्सल्स। व्हाट दे आर डूइंग इज दे आर किलिंग द इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स, and they do not let election machinery or elections to take place smoothly in these Naxal affected areas, as we have seen in the movie Newton also, that we saw that Naxal affected area में कितना मुश्किल होता है elections को conduct करवा पाना या कोई भी इस तरीके का democratic process करवा पाना, because the Naxals won't allow the democratic system of governance to take place in that area, because उनका तरीका भी वही है कि इलेक्शन मत होने दो, ठीक है, ताकि वहाँ के लोकल लोग जो हैं उनको गवर्नेंस में रिप्रेजेंटेशन ना मिले, एंड दस व्हाट दे विल डू इज दैट दे विल themselves establish a parallel system of governance over there. They don't want elected machinery to establish in the Naxal affected areas by killing of the elected representatives or by disrupting the election process. They would not let smooth elections to happen in the Naxal affected areas. ठीक है, अब जब हमने पढ़ा कि व्हाट इज द नेचर ऑफ देयर मूवमेंट, क्या उनका है, क्या उनका ऑब्जेक्टिव है, एंड हाउ दे आर मिसयूजिंग द ग्रीवेंसेस ऑफ द ट्राइबल पीपल, नाउ वी विल स्टडी अबाउट कि वो फंड्स कहाँ से इकट्ठा करते हैं। ठीक है, बिकॉज एनी सच काइंड ऑफ इलीगल एक्टिविटी वेदर यू आर डूइंग, यू नीड फंड्स फॉर दैट एक्टिविटी। सो फ्रॉम वेयर आर दीज पीपल और नक्सल्स, दे आर यूटिलाइजिंग और मोबिलाइजिंग फंड्स फॉर देयर कॉज। तो बेसिकली ये क्या करते हैं नक्सल पीपल और द नक्सल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, व्हाट दे डू इज they carry out extortion. एक्सटॉर्शन का मतलब होता है एक फोर्सेबल तरीके से किसी से पैसे निकलवाना, ओके, फोर्स करके किसी से पैसे निकलवाना जो होता है, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज एक्सटॉर्शन। सो दीज पीपल रिजॉर्ट टू द प्रैक्टिस ऑफ एक्सटॉर्शन फ्रॉम स्मॉल बिजनेसेस, या जो लोकल पीपल होते हैं, या वहाँ पे एक माइनर फॉरेस्ट प्रोड्यूस होता है तेंदुपत्ता, सो तेंदुपत्ता के जो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स होते हैं उनसे इलीगली एक्सटॉर्शन करके पैसा निकलवाना, या जो गवर्नमेंट के प्रोजेक्ट्स उस एरिया में होते हैं अफेक्टेड नक्सल्स एरिया में, वहाँ के जो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स होते हैं उनको एक्सटॉर्ट करके इलीगल पैसा निकलवाना। इस तरीके से दे आर यूटिलाइजिंग एंड मोबिलाइजिंग फंड्स फॉर देयर इलीगल एक्टिविटीज। एंड ऑल्सो फंड्स आर रेज्ड थ्रू फॉरेस्ट एंड माइन ऑपरेशन, थ्रू फॉरेस्ट एंड माइन ऑपरेशन के थ्रू भी वो फंड रेज करते हैं, बिकॉज इन दीज एरियाज, बिकॉज ही बेसिकली ऑल दीज एरियाज जहाँ छत्तीसगढ़ के बेल्ट में या जहाँ पे भी झारखंड में ये नक्सलिज्म का प्रॉब्लम है, दीज आर very mineral rich regions of the country. Okay, they are very mineral rich regions of the country, but there are a lot of contractors and there are a lot of people who are engaged in illegal mining in these areas. And what these extremists and these knuckles have done is they have established a nexus between the contractors of mining, transporter and extremists ने एक nexus बना लिया है, and because of which they are using the illegal money which they get from illegal mining in these areas and collection of forest produce करके they are actually utilizing illegal funds, and that is how they collect funds for their cause. And so what is the solution for this problem? अगर आपको उनका fund cut down करना पड़ेगा, because if you cut down the fund and they do not have finance or they do not have money or financing source for their illegal activities, they will not be able to carry out do what they are doing. So what you should do, what the government on its part should do, that instead of appointing private agencies to carry out the infrastructure work and to carry out the forest and mine operations, government should appoint a government agency like BRO or Border Roads Organization to carry out any kind of government infrastructure work in those areas. एंड ऑल्सो आपको एक स्पेशल एंटी एक्सटॉर्शन एंड एंटी मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग सेल बनाना चाहिए इन द स्टेट पुलिस एंड स्टेट गवर्नमेंट ऑफिस, सो दैट दीज काइंड ऑफ इलीगल एक्टिविटीज, जो नेक्सस चल रहा है वहाँ पे इलीगल माइनिंग का एंड जो एक्सट्रीमिस्ट ने नेक्सस बनाया हुआ है वो नेक्सस ब्रेक हो जाए, सो दैट इलीगल माइनिंग एंड कलेक्शन ऑफ फॉरेस्ट प्रोड्यूस के थ्रू जो ये एक तरीके का एक्सटॉर्शन का बिजनेस वहाँ पे चल रहा है वो वहाँ से कट हो जाए. And this is how you will cut their source of funding, and because you are establishing a special cell for this purpose जो कि basically इसी region पे काम करेगा कि this will cut their source of funding, and this is how their their illegal activities will stop. So इन्होंने एक पूरा फंड्स का भी एक पूरा सिस्टम वहाँ पे बना रखा है, आप उसको ही ब्रेक कर दोगे so obviously their illegal activities would stop. Okay, so now that we have looked into all these linkage, हमने पूरा देखा कि किस तरीके से उनका एक्सपेंशन हुआ, किस तरीके से हमने नक्सल्स की हिस्ट्री देखी, देन वी saw nature of movement, मतलब what is the agenda of these नक्सल्स and how they are misusing the tribal grievances and how they are carrying out their attacks, किस तरीके का वायलेंस उन्होंने करा हुआ है सिक्योरिटी पर्सोनल, वो सब हमने एक आइडिया लिया. Then we saw कि किस तरीके से they are utilizing their funds, what are the kind of activities they are carrying out to carry out their illegal activities or establish the parallel system of administration that they want to establish after overthrowing the government. Basically they are anti-government bodies. These जो नक्सल्स होते हैं, एक्सट्रीमिस्ट होते हैं, because their agenda is anti-government. Okay, so they are also winning the support of the local tribal population. They are misusing their grievances and they are turning them against the government. और किस तरीके से ये उनको एंटी गवर्नमेंट करके अपना एजेंडा को वहाँ पे प्रमोट कर रहे हैं. ठीक है, तो वो सारी चीजें हमने देखी. बट बेसिकली अगर आपको समझना है एक्सट्रीमिज्म को और उसको लिंक करना है लैक ऑफ डेवलपमेंट से, सो यू हैव टू look into the causes of spread of left wing extremism in more detail, so that you know कि क्यों वो प्रॉब्लम वहाँ पे, why the people or why the local population of that area is getting attracted and why it is supporting or kind of not able to come out of the web of left wing extremism. Why is that the local population of that area is not able to come out the problem of left wing extremism. और जो नक्सल्स हैं, नक्सल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस जिन्होंने अपने आप को एस्टैब्लिश करा हुआ है, why, what is the reason that they got attracted to this ideology in the first place. So ऐसा हुआ क्यों and why this thing was happened in the first place, उसको हमको अगर समझना है तो हमको और डिटेल में इनके रीजंस देखने पड़ेंगे. Now the reasons that the causes that I have listed out here are basically the causes which are given after they are very well researched causes, and ये causes जो हैं basically ARC reports से उठाए हुए हैं. मैंने वही सारे causes लिस्ट करे हैं जो ARC reports ने, ARC की 7th रिपोर्ट में सारे गिवन हैं. लैंड रिलेटेड फैक्टर्स, डिस्प्लेसमेंट एंड फोर्स्ड एविक्शंस जो हुए हैं लोगों के, एंड लाइवलीहुड रिलेटेड कॉजेज जो हैं, गवर्नेंस रिलेटेड फैक्टर्स क्या रहे कि नक्सल्स एंड नक्सल organizations got caught in this web of extreme ideology. So हम basically ये सारी चीज समझेंगे तो हमें बहुत डिटेल में ये सारे फैक्टर्स को पढ़ना पड़ेगा. एंड these factors I have picked from ARC reports, जो कि ARC ने प्रॉपर रिसर्च एंड डेलिब्रेशन करके had come to this conclusion कि basically ये 4 broad reasons हैं why there is a lot of spread of left wing extremism. तो इसको हम करेंगे पॉइंट टू पॉइंट. ठीक है, so the first reason basically why there is a lot of spread of left wing extremism is the land related factors. तभी हम देखते हैं कि whenever these Naxal affected areas, in the end what they are promising people, they are saying that the government has displaced you from land. Okay, you don't have land rights, and if you support us, then in the end we will provide you the rights on land, we will provide rights for you on water and livelihood rights we will provide you. So जल जीवन और जमीन का जो राइट हम नक्सल्स प्रॉमिस कर रहे हैं वो इसीलिए कर रहे हैं बिकॉज लैंड रिलेटेड फैक्टर्स हैं एंड लैंड रिलेटेड ग्रीवेंसेस हैं लोगों के वहाँ पे, जो जिसकी वजह से नक्सल्स ये उनको प्रॉमिस करते हैं. तो व्हाट आर द लैंड रिलेटेड फैक्टर्स कि क्या है, तो बेसिकली इवेजन ऑफ लैंड सीलिंग लॉज, ठीक है, एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ एनक्रोचमेंट एंड ऑक्यूपेशन ऑफ गवर्नमेंट एंड कम्युनिटी लैंड्स, even the water bodies by the powerful sections of the society, and thus displacing the poor people from the land. Then lack of title to public land cultivated by the landless poor. Poor implementations of land prohibiting transfer of tribal land to non-tribals in the fifth scheduled areas. Okay, नॉन रेगुलेशन ऑफ ट्रेडिशनल लैंड राइट. सो ये सारे रीजंस है जिसकी वजह से कहीं ना कहीं यू आर डिस्प्लेसिंग द पुअर एंड द ट्राइबल पीपल फ्रॉम देयर लैंड एंड यू आर एनक्रोचिंग अपॉन देयर लैंड. ठीक है, तो ये सारे रीजन है. लैंड सीलिंग के लॉज हमें पता है कि लगाए गए थे जस्ट आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस, सो दैट the marginalized and the landless would get at least some rights over land, okay, limited land properties, but उनका भी evasion हो गया and they were not implemented in a strict manner, जिसकी वजह से ये सारी problems हुई. Then the second reason is displacement and forced evictions. Evictions from lands traditionally used by the tribals. Displacement called by irrigation and power projects जो आप वहाँ पे establish करते हो without adequate arrangements for rehabilitation. If you are displacing those people when you are establishing these various infrastructure and various multi-purpose irrigation and power projects, then you should also rehabilitate them and you should compensate them by providing some kind of land or some kind of resources in some other place. That also didn't happen in many places. That was also one of the reasons these people get attracted to the Naxal ideology. The large-scale land acquisition आपने किया for public purposes without appropriate compensation or rehabilitation. Okay. Then the third reason is livelihood related causes. क्यों? Lack of food security है क्योंकि corruption है PDS system में. आपने PDS system कर तो रखा है, but those people who actually deserve free food, that free food is not reaching those people. Disruption of traditional occupations and lack of alternative work opportunities. ठीक है. Then social exclusion क्यों होता है? ठीक है, denial of dignity, continued practice of untouchability बहुत ज़्यादा होती है against SCs and STs in various forms. That is also one of the reason. Then poor implementation of special laws and prevention of atrocities. और ये सारे जितने भी हमने SC/ST Act लाए हैं prevention of atrocities का, या पोखरा Act है और ये abolition of bonded labor है, ये on paper तो है but it is not getting implemented. That is why these people are still outside the mainstream society and they are not getting a right to dignified life because there are a lot of atrocities and lot of lot of atrocities which is being carried out on these SC/ST and tribal people because of the stigma that is attached to their caste or जो भी आपकी अनटचेबिलिटी है इनकी वजह से जो भी स्टिग्मा अटैच्ड होता है उसकी वजह से दे आर नॉट एबल टू लीड अ डिग्निफाइड लाइफ. सो दे आर समहाउ आउटसाइड ऑफ द मेन स्ट्रीम ऑफ द सोसाइटी, सो दे फील निग्लेक्टेड. और इस तरीके की भी रीजंस हैं कहीं ना कहीं दैट दे आर फीलिंग लेफ्ट आउट फ्रॉम द सोसाइटी. देन गवर्नेंस रिलेटेड फैक्टर्स हैं. corruption and poor provision है बहुत ज़्यादा of the essential public services, that the essential public services are not reaching these people. Primary health care and education इन लोगों तक नहीं पहुँच रहा है. ठीक है, health care and education is very important as far as empowerment of a particular societal section is concerned. अगर आपको किसी section of society को empower करना है, so health care and education are the basic amenities which should reach. वो नहीं पहुंच रहा है. फिर इनकॉम्पिटेंट, इल ट्रेंड एंड पुअरली मोटिवेटेड पब्लिक पर्सोनल. बेसिकली जो आप यहाँ पे गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसर्स को आपने पोस्ट किया है एज पार्ट ऑफ देयर हम अभी भी जो IAS ऑफिसर्स वहाँ पे या स्टेट PCS के ऑफिसर्स या गवर्नमेंट के पब्लिक पर्सोनल जो प्लेस्ड होते हैं उस एरियाज में, टू बेसिकली देयर वर्क इज टू एंश्योर दैट द पब्लिक सर्विसेज एंड द गवर्नमेंट के जो वेलफेयर स्कीम्स है दे आर प्रॉपरली इम्प्लीमेंटेड इन दीज एरियाज. ओके, but these people are very ill trained and they are not motivated to work in such Naxal affected areas, and they are absent from their place of posting. They are not carrying out their duty the way they should and they are not working for the welfare of these people. That is why also जो गवर्नमेंट, देखो गवर्नमेंट एक होती है और दूसरा होता है सोसाइटी, उसके बीच का जो लिंकिंग ब्रिज होता है दैट इज द सिविल सर्विसेज. ओके, एंड वो जो पब्लिक पर्सोनल होते हैं जो सर्विसेज में प्लेस्ड होते हैं, इट इज देयर वर्क एक्चुअली टू एक्ट एज अ ब्रिज बिटवीन गवर्नमेंट एंड द पुअर सेक्शन ऑफ द सोसाइटी और any section of society. Okay, so if the services are not reaching, the government services are not reaching these poor people, okay, so how will they will get the benefits of government schemes. तो जो ये जो पब्लिक पर्सोनल और जितने भी IAS ऑफिसर्स भी जो नक्सल अफेक्टेड एरियाज में पोस्टेड होते हैं या स्टेट PCS के ऑफिसर्स जो नक्सल अफेक्टेड रीजन में पोस्टेड होते हैं, इट इज देयर ड्यूटी टू अपार्ट फ्रॉम मेंटेनिंग लॉ एंड ऑर्डर इन दोज एरियाज, इट इज देयर ड्यूटी दैट द गवर्नमेंट के वेलफेयर एंड डेवलपमेंटल स्कीम्स रीच दिस सेक्शन ऑफ द सोसाइटी. But these public personnel and the government officers who are placed in these Naxal affected regions, they are very incompetent and they are ill trained, and that is why they are not able to bridge the gap between government and the this poor and the tribal section of the society. And when they are not able to bridge the gap, इससे क्या होता है कहीं ना कहीं कि गवर्नेंस के अगेंस्ट गवर्नेंस डेफिसिट क्रिएट होता है, कहीं ना कहीं द पीपल आर नॉट एबल टू ट्रस्ट द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ द डे दैट द गवर्नमेंट इज वर्किंग फॉर आवर वेलफेयर. देयर इज ट्रस्ट इशू बिटवीन द गवर्नमेंट एंड द सोसाइटी, एंड पीपल को कहीं ना कहीं गवर्नेंस का डेफिसिट फील होता है, पब्लिक ट्रस्ट मिसिंग है कि गवर्नमेंट इज नॉट वर्किंग फॉर देयर वेलफेयर. बिकॉज जो पब्लिक पर्सोनल जो एक तरीके का लिंक या ब्रिज का काम करते हैं गवर्नमेंट और सोसाइटी के बीच में, they themselves are very untrained and poorly motivated, that they are not carrying out their duty properly. So this is also one of the reasons. Then misuse of the powers by the police and violation of norms of law. ठीक है, पुलिस also is not working very effectively, क्योंकि पुलिस का काम है लॉ एंड ऑर्डर, वहाँ पे उन्हें नक्सल अफेक्टेड एरियाज में लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का काम को मैनेज करना, मेंटेन करना, but they are not also, they are misusing the powers and they are carrying atrocities against the people. Okay, then perversion of electoral politics and unsatisfactory working of local government institution. Because see, in order to empower the people of these such areas who are affected by Naxalism and extremism, it is very important to establish local government institutions. Local government institutions को establish करना बहुत जरूरी है, so that even the most marginalized people also get representation in the local governance institution. And when they will get representation, only then they will get a chance to empower themselves, because उनके हाथ तक resources पहुंचेंगे. So but जो local government institutions होते हैं वो भी empowered नहीं है, and उनका working जो है that is not up to the mark, and that is why also the people are left out and they are not getting fruits of development. Okay, and electoral politics, basically government, ये जो नक्सल अफेक्टेड एरियाज हैं यहाँ पे इलेक्टोरल मशीनरी स्टैब्लिश हो ही नहीं पाती है, इलेक्शंस नहीं हो पाते हैं टाइम पे, एंड बहुत सारे प्रॉब्लम्स आते हैं जिसकी वजह से कहीं ना कहीं लोकल गवर्नेंस और डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन ऑफ जो गवर्नेंस है वो हो ही नहीं पाया इन एरियाज तक, एंड दैट इज व्हाई आल्सो वन ऑफ द रीजंस व्हाई the fruits of development are not reaching this section of the society. So local government को strengthen करना बहुत जरूरी है, एक electoral machinery को strengthen करना बहुत जरूरी है in order to bring this section of the society into the mainstream society, and also to include them, and also for their overall inclusive growth. उनको inclusive growth provide करने के लिए, उनकी welfare के लिए बहुत जरूरी है कि वो mainstream government का part बने, और इसके लिए इलेक्शन होना एंड लोकल गवर्नमेंट इंस्टीट्यूशंस का इफेक्टिवली वर्क करना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. तो ये है गवर्नेंस रिलेटेड फैक्टर. ओके, नाउ अल्टीमेटली व्हाट द गवर्नमेंट इज डूइंग टू डील विद लेफ्ट विंग एक्सट्रीमिज्म. ठीक है, गवर्नमेंट इंटरवेंशन क्या कर रहा है इस प्रॉब्लम को डील करने के लिए, या लिंकेज क्या है. फाइनली जो हम लिंकेज की हम बात करें कि व्हाट इज लिंकेज बिटवीन डेवलपमेंट एंड एक्सट्रीमिज्म, या द एफर्ट्स दैट आर बीइंग कैरिड आउट बाय द गवर्नमेंट on its part finally to deal with left-wing extremism. This we will discuss in the next lecture. उसमें हम डिस्कस करेंगे कि what are the various government efforts and the steps that the government is taking to deal with this problem.